Hi there, and welcome to another episode here on Bustthenet. This is a show brought to you by One Football app, and it's an app series that I like to call Game Changers. It's a chance for me to get into your save and make suggestions. Now, people send these saves in to me through a dedicated Dropbox link, and when I get these saves, I tend to get very excited because I get to see how other people play the game, and now I've got a save here with Everton, which is even more interesting because if you guys don't know this already, I'm actually a Liverpool fan, so this is going to be fun. All right, now I'm not here to rub things in, don't worry. But what I like to do is I like to see how you've done over the last few. You started off in this is your third season. Your first season in charge, not too good. You lost 16 games. Here I'm more interested in the losses you had against teams like Brighton, which was at home, and then you lost to Watford at home. You lost to Bournemouth at home. Home defeats against these kind of teams is not very good. It's usually it's a problem. And you may have had some wins on the road, and you also drew against Liverpool home and away, which isn't bad. But things weren't too good in your first season. Second season you improved, but still you had problems again at home against teams like Bournemouth. You lost at home to West Ham, and So we want to see improvements, right? So, but you have improved. But you sent me in the safe because you have a certain goal. You want to play. 4-4-2, right? And the 4-4-2 works pretty well in FM18. But there's certain things about the 4-4-2 that people seem to forget when they have a 4-4-2 in mind. Is 4-4-2s, in order for them to be successful, they usually have been dominated by like solid central midfielders. I mean, you think of Roy Keane, you think of N'Golo Kante. These are guys who bust the gut to run all over the pitch. So whenever you're thinking of building a 4-4-2, the first thing you gotta ask yourself is whether you have players who can play in that kind of a team. So when I'm looking at the team report, the next thing I would do is I look at your team comparison. Now, when we look at your defenders, the first thing I always do is seriously, mentals. I can't stress how important these are. If your mentals aren't good, seriously, there's going to be a lot of issues with your game. Positioning is not bad, 15 for your defenders. Anticipation also above average. So your defenders look like they are okay, right? So they're above average. Then we look at physicals. Now, this is where things start getting a bit interesting. While the mentals are good, in terms of your physicals, you have you have a relatively slow defense. In fact, one of the slowest in the land. 15th in the English Premier Division on average. And remember, this is average, right? So absolute numbers could be worse. Then let's take a look at your midfield, and things get very, very bad in midfield because midfield, you're one of the slowest midfields in England. Okay. There are only a handful of teams that are faster than you. And the difference between you and the worst is negligible. So this means that literally everybody is running rings around you. And if you want to play a 4-4-2, this becomes a major issue because you need to think about how you're going to set up your 4-4-2. Where your players going to come from? So this is the first thing that we look at. And now I'm looking at a transfer strategy, a transfer history. This season you brought in players like Lucas Trousseau. Not bad, okay. I think one of the reasons why you brought him in was because you wanted some speed, okay, which makes sense. You brought him from Olympique Lyon for 5 million. You brought in Pietro Pellegrini as a striker. Okay, he looks pretty good. There we go. Ludwig Augustinsson. What a name. Okay, defender, left back. Whoa, very exciting left back. Then we've got Hugo Malo, who is a defender on the right, who is okay. Positionally, he's quite aware, so he makes for a very good defensive centre-back. He's been pleased to have been promised that his club will qualify for continental football next season. So you've got a lot of promises you've made. Okay, so this is important. We have to understand the promises that you've made to your team. You sold some players, interestingly enough, and then we want to make sure that they fit into your team. Okay, so let's look at training. I haven't gone to your tactics yet, right? So training, you've gone for a form of training that I like to call focus training. So you go in and then you set. But this is, you've assigned your training to your ass man. So your ass man is going to do attacking training for the rest of the season. Nah. This is very bad. This is very, very bad. Do not do this. Take control of training immediately if you want to do focus training, because this is very, very bad. Because you definitely don't want to do this. If you want to give your ass man control, do balance and forget about it. All right. But if you want to do focus training like that, you absolutely need to do it yourself, because you have to be changing the routines every 3 months, and this is not good. If you want to outperform the AI regularly, you have to control training yourself. This means, like, you're going to players and you're focusing on their training, and you're making decisions on how to get the best out of them. So, like, if I were to look at a player like Harry Maguire and I wanted to go and do his training, here you can't even change his intensity level now. So you can only go, okay, I want him to be trained as a defensive centre back. Okay, you've gone for few attributes and you just want him to focus on those. But you have to remember that this Mr. Harry Maguire is a very young player and he's got a lot of potential. So I would take him off this and give him, I would immediately take control of training immediately. I'll give him ball playing defender, because you remember your acceleration in your team is a desperate commodity that needs to be changed. So how do you take over training? Just simple, just go to team. Here you go, scheduling. Just click on this. This will appear. Yes, take control of training. Immediately put this back on balance. Just do it on balance and then uncheck this and you're fine. Now, if you want to do the kind of training where you want to change it every 3 months, you can go to the ass man and do it. But I am more interested in doing training myself, handling training myself, because I want to control injuries as well. I mean, you can to a certain extent if you're controlling your own training. Like, for example, towards the winter period, you lighten the load, for example. Those are things you can physically do to improve the prospects that your players don't get injured all the time. So then you go to your squad. Like here we got Harry Maguire, so I go to his training. You got him trained as a defensive centre back. Remember the issue that we have with the players and the fact that you don't have a lot of acceleration. So what I'll do is I go to him, defensive centre back. I'll go ball playing defender, take control of training. I want it to be high, and we continue. And this is what we do. We make sure that our team training is set up in a way which helps us develop our players accordingly. So go through your players. Like here we've got training and development for Riyad Mahrez. You're training him as an inside forward. Acceleration, pace, okay, composure. You've gone for the attributes you think need improvement, which is fine. This is okay. Yeah. So my advice is do that. Secondly, I also noticed that you've purchased you brought in players like Yoel Veltman. Then I feel sorry for you, because I would never have done that. If you could send me a PM and asking me, should I sign Yoel Veltman, I would have said no, because this guy gets injured a lot. And if you need to play him, you got to cotton ball him. And I can see now he's out for the next 2 months. So if you're when he does come back, and if you want to use him, you absolutely have to take control of training yourself. You cannot afford to do this. So what I would suggest is you take control of training, and then you monitor your Veltman as well. Make sure that you cotton ball him during some of your games. If you can rotate him, rotate this. You have to have a substitution strategy just for him. He's a very good defender, but he gets injured quite a lot. So you got to be very careful. Now, let's take a look at your results in the last couple of months. If you've done pretty badly, you lost to Bournemouth, you lost to Stoke, you sent me the game with, very interesting, you playing West Ham and Manchester United. Thank you very much. So I'll have to be playing those 2 games in the hot seat later. But let's now take a look at your tactics. You come up with a 4-4-2. Now, remember what I suggested at the top of the show, where if you want to play a 4-4-2, you got to remember, great teams that play 4-4-2 very well always had a champion ball-winning midfielder, or somebody who could run around and win the ball all the time. Better still, if both of them can do that, you sold. This team tactic is, it's going to work. So when I'm looking at your team, this is your team, this is the tactic that was said. I have not changed anything, and I'm not going to look at all the other tactics, because your request was for the 4-4-2. Now, here you got Romeo, acceleration 7. Positioning might be great, but his acceleration is 7. Kramer's acceleration is 9. Off the ball is 14. Romeo's off the ball is 7. So here we got one guy who's very slow and doesn't really run around making himself available for the pass. That's the first problem. We got Kramer here, who's also slow. He does run around, but he doesn't really run around. He actually walks around. So by the time you want to get the ball out to somebody, he might be available, and basically, he's not. His aggression is 17. So if people pass him by, chances are he might pick up a yellow card or two, and he's gonna be dangerous. So Christoph Kramer and Romeo are a bit of a is using them in midfield is going to be a massive challenge, and I'm not a big fan of that. Okay, secondly, you want to make a counter-attacking tactic. Okay, now when you make 4-4-2s and you want them to be counter-attacking, you got to think about how your boys hit into space, right, and how they run with the ball. So I like to visualize how when we win the ball, what's going to happen. Now when you win the ball, you haven't got anybody looking for players in spaces, because principally you don't have a playmaker, right? So you don't have a playmaker here. You don't have anybody here. So your defenders aren't going to clear the ball into space. And you've got two players here who are not inherently looking to do that kind of thing unless their decision making is good and they can do that. You know, they have vision and they decide at that moment they want to play that kind of a game. Now, here we got Romeo. This season, you've played 11 games so far. He's had no assists. And then we look at Kramer. This season, he's played. You just brought him in. He's had 1 assist and 1 goal. That may not be too bad. Then we got an inverted winger on attack who's going to run something like this into traffic, and you got a fullback on support who might overlap if you have control. So this really isn't a counter-attacking tactic, because you don't really have somebody either looking for somebody into space or players playing balls into space, and even though you have the instruction pass into space. See, then you're playing defensive structures. So you're sitting back and you are hoping the ball might go to the inverted winger. And that's it. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I can't really see. I'm having a very tough time visualizing how the goals are going to come. So it's going to be a struggle for you. On top of that, you don't have two players here winning the ball. Now let's take a look at how you conceded the goal against Stoke. Now here, this is the match you played against Stoke. And we're gonna watch this on we're gonna watch this on 2D highlights. We're gonna see the goal that Stoke scored against you. Jack Butland with the goal kick. Now I'm looking at 23 and 14. Are they running around making themselves available? As you can see, he's too slow to close Allen down. And then when Imbula gets the ball, by the time Kramer gets here, Campbell is in miles of space. They can't get to him in time. Campbell has more than enough time to play the ball. The ball gets played to Muriel. As you can see, as a counter-attacking system, the ball goes straight this way. It doesn't go into space anyway. And you got these players are too slow to make themselves available for the pass. Muriel runs into traffic. The ball goes back out here. Kramer is all the way here. So, I mean, gotta give him props for getting out there. Ball goes there, but he's going to take a long time just to follow people. The ball goes to Philip, and then Kramer is chasing after Campbell. Got Romeo here. The ball works all his way up into the middle of the box. So the way I see it, you're going to have certain issues. Sigurdsson, as you can see, there's no support. The support players, they're not getting up in time. You got Kramer up here, got Sigurdsson. He has to play the ball out, and he's not a playmaker at the moment. The pass gets read. So you're asking a lot from your players. Mahrez is an inverted winger. He needs the ball at his feet, literally. So the ball is played to him, and you lose possession of the ball. Joel Campbell goes on, and he scores the goal. So you got a pretty slow midfield there. Against Bournemouth, let's look at the goal by Callum Wilson. I don't even know what the goal looks like, but we're going to take a look anyway. You lost this match 3-1. Jordan Pickford, your own goalkeeper, makes a goal kick. Ball gets to midfield. Romeo, the ball is going to Romeo. The ball gets nicked off him. He's chasing after. His acceleration is too slow. He can't get there. Davis is out of position. Klaassen plays it back to Stewart. Stewart to Akhtar, to King. Davis, I'm not sure if I haven't checked his attributes, but as you can see, if you're playing so deep already, and this is the other thing about playing defensively. Most people, when they want to create a counter-attacking tactic, they think they have to play deeper. Now, if you play deeper, you're literally allowing another team to get in and around your box, and you've got a slow team. So if you've got a slow team, they are chasing after players, and they are going to allow another team to get into position and then basically that's what you've seen happen. Secondly, I don't really like the inverted winger, very much personally speaking. I don't even use him, because all the planets in the universe need to be in alignment for this guy to work well. All right, so here we go. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna try and come up with a 4-4-2 that might work with this team. So I've done something different with the tactic when it comes to player roles and duties. The most important thing is I move Keane out from defense and I stuck him in midfield, because Keane can play as a central midfielder as well. So he does not dive into tackles, he's okay. But the most important thing here is he's got acceleration, he's got work rate, he's got positioning, he's got some passing, and he's got decent decisions. So this means that he has the ability to run all over the place and do some havoc. We've got Sigurdsson. I moved him in and I've asked him to become a roaming playmaker. On the left flank, we've gone with a winger. Now, this is something that I like about the thing. I think about counter attacks, right? Now, if you win the ball, you need to get the ball out quickly to somebody who is going to be in a position to attack and attacking space. So we got a wing on attack over here. So he's going to be charging into the spaces. He's going to have a poacher up front that is going to be looking, who's going to be goal side most of the time. And we want to make sure that we have players who are in and around the box who can support him. Then we want to make sure, and here Mahrez, right now, you've chosen him to be an inverted winger, but I, on the other hand, want him to be more like a playmaker, so that we have other options from the right flank as well. So he's going to come sit somewhere around here, and we've got enough of a group here that can hold on to the ball and work possession of the ball. In case we have to defend deep and be on this side of the pitch, we can explode down the left flank with Kostic. Now, what do we do with Romeo and some of the other players that you have in your team? Well, what we can do is we can actually turn them into inverted wingbacks later. So if push comes to shove, that's what I'll do. I'll get Romeo to be an inverted wingback. And of course, Trousseau himself, we can play him as a ball-winning midfielder too. But the reason why I'm gone with Keane here is because of Keane's acceleration. Keane can be all over the place, and this is something that we want. If Keane gets a card, then we'll just bring on Trousseau. Here you've got other options as well down the flanks. We got Kostic and we got Yannick Bolasie, so we can play one or the other. So this will be the team. This would be the setup I would do with a 4-4-2, playing a work ball into box. Now, work ball into box can be removed. You have one. I just want them to get out, cross, and go for goal. Then we got whip crosses, play wider, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. And I'll play on a slower mentality, and I'll play structured. This is just for our match against West Ham. For the match against West Ham, towards the middle of the match, I actually changed certain things. I only changed the role of the ball-winning midfielder to a central midfielder on defense, because I found that while he was very aggressive in closing down, sometimes we needed a bit more support for Gylfi Sigurdsson. And let's start standard structured, and well, it didn't get off to a good start. We fell behind to a goal from West Ham. Immediately, I decided to go control structure, push out the defensive line with an offside trap, working ball into box, hoping that we can actually do something and construct chances in and around the box. Not too good for us. After that, we went 2 goals down, and at this point in the game, I felt that the ball-winning midfielder was going all over the shop, so we changed him to a central midfielder on defense and kept up with the rest of the shouts, and then that started our comeback, and Sigurdsson started moving around as a roaming playmaker, linking up play, and with Mahrez playing as a playmaker on the flanks, he would often cut inside and become his telepathic partner. We managed to pull 1 goal before the end of the first half, and then added a second at the start of the second half. And when all things seemed to hit towards a draw, there we go. Kostic, the one player I'm looking forward to exploding with this setup, gets involved in our third and deciding goal. We won 3-2. What I liked about the tactic was the fact that we got a lot of goals from inside dangerous areas in the box, and overall we didn't control the match, but we managed to hit teams with some nice attacking play. Our second match was always going to be harder. Against Manchester United, we decided, okay, let's start the match counter fluid, thinking that this would be okay. We did get off to a fantastic start with a goal inside the first minute, but United came back, led 3-1, and that's when I changed back to a standard flexible version of this tactic. We're looking for Kostic to create most of the chances here, and he did exactly that with the second goal of the match. And I'm looking to him in this tactic to create most of the chances, and we came back from 3-1 down to win 4-3. As you can see, the second version of the tactic, which is the standard flexible version, plays with pass into space, and that's to exploit Kostic exploding down the flanks, and that's how we managed to get him to provide 2 assists in the game. It was a great result. Just small little tweaks to the tactic were needed, but the most important thing here is, of course, the fact that this tactic plays a 4-4-2, hitting into space with the winger on attack and the poacher on attack. It's a simple setup, but I think this can work. The key to it, of course, is using a ball-winning midfielder in the form of Keane in midfield. And this could be one way you can get your system to work. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Game Changers. If you have any questions, please look me up on Twitter at Bustthenet or addicted2fm.com, my website. Once again, I'd like to thank all my patrons for their continued support of the channel. You make these kind of shows possible for the rest of the community. You guys take care, have a good one, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.